Om Sai Ram, Chapter 7 of Sai Sat Charitra. Sai Baba knew all the yogic practices. He was well versed in the six processes, including Dauti, that is, stomach cleaning by a moistened piece of linen, 3 inches in breadth and 22 and a half in length. Then Kanda Yoga, that is, separating his limbs and joining them again, and Samadhi, etc. If you think that he was a Hindu, he looked like a Yavan. If you think him to be a Yavan, he looked like a pious Hindu. No one definitely knew whether he was a Hindu or a Mohammedan. He celebrated the Hindu festival of Ramanavami with all due formalities. At the same time, he permitted the sandal procession of the Mohammedans. He encouraged wrestling bouts in the festival and gave good prizes to the winners. When the Gokula Ashtami came, he got the Gopal Kala ceremony duly performed, and on its festivals, he allowed the Mohammedans to say their prayers in his masjid. Once in Moharram festival, some Mohammedans proposed to construct a tabut in the masjid, kept it there for some days, and afterwards take it in procession through the village. Sai Baba allowed of keeping the tabut for 4 days, and on the fifth day removed it without any compulsion. If we say that he was a Mohammedan, his ears were pierced, that is, holes according to the Hindu fashion. If you think that he was a Hindu, he advocated the practice of circumcision. Although, according to Mr. Nana Sahib Chandarkar, who was observed him closely, he was not himself circumcised. Then he always lived in the masjid. If he is a Mohammedan, he had always the duni, the sacred fire there, and following the things which are contrary to the Mohammedan religion. That is, grinding of the handmill, blowing of conch and bells, and oblation to the fire, and bhajan, giving of food and worship of Baba's feet by means of water. If you think that he was a Mohammedan, the best of the Brahmins, the Agni Gotris, and leaving aside their orthodox ways, fell prostrate at his feet. Those who went to make enquiries about his nationalities were dumbfounded and were captured by his darshana. So none could definitely decide whether Sai Baba was a Hindu or a Mohammedan. This is no wonder, for he who completely surrendered himself to the Lord by getting rid of his egoism and the body consciousness, thus became one with him, and has nothing to do with any questions of caste or nationality. Such one as Sai Baba saw no difference between caste and beings and beings. Such a unique and wonderful incarnation was Sai Baba. On account of the merits in my past birth, I had good fortune to sit at his feet and enjoy his blessed company. The joy and delight I deprived therefrom was incomparable. In fact, Sai Baba was a pure Anand and consciousness. I cannot sufficiently describe him, his greatness and uniqueness. He who took delight at his feet was established in his own self. Many sannyasis, sadhakas, and all sorts of men aspiring for salvation came to Sai Baba. He always walked, talked, and laughed with them, and always uttered with his tongue, Allah Malik. God is the sole owner. He never liked a discussion or arguments. He always calm and controlled. Though irritable at times, always preached full Vedanta, and nobody knew till the last who was Baba. The prince and poor people were all treated alike by him. He knew the inmost secret of all, and when he gave expression to them, all were surprised. He was the repository of all knowledge, and he feigned ignorance. He also disliked honor. Such were the characteristics of Sai Baba. Though he had a human body, his deeds testified to his godhood. All people considered him as a Lord God in Shirdi. I cannot describe Baba's miracles as such. He got almost all the temples in Shirdi repaired. Through Tatya Patil, the temples of Sani, Ganapati, Shankar Parvati, village deity, and Maruti were put in order. His charity was also remarkable. The money he used to collect as dakshina was freely distributed as 20 rupees, 15 rupees, or 50 rupees to others every day. The recipients thought that this was pure charity money, and Baba wished that it should be fully employed, usefully employed. People were immensely benefited by having a darshan of Baba. Some became hale and hearty, wicked people were turned to good ones, the leprosy was cured in some cases, many got their desires fulfilled without any drops or medicines being put in the eyes. Some blind men got back their sight, and some lame ones got their legs. Nobody could see the end of his extraordinary greatness. His fame spread all and wide, far and wide, and the pilgrims from all the sides flocked to Shirdi. Baba sat always near the Duni and eased himself there, and always sat in meditation, some with and on other times without a bath. He used to tie a white turban on his head and wear a dhoti around his waist and a shirt on his body. This was his dress in the beginning. He started practicing medicine in the village, examined the patients, and gave medicines. He was always successful and he became a famous doctor also. A curious case may be narrated here. One devotee got his eyeballs quite red and swollen. No doctor was available in Shirdi. The other devotees who took him to Baba, the doctors would use ointments, anjans, cow's milk, and camphor drugs, etc., to treat this ailment. Baba's remedy was quite unique. He pounded some biba, that is marking nuts, and made two balls of them, and thrust them on each eye of the patient and wrapped with a cloth bandage. The next day the bandage was removed and water was poured over them in a stream. The inflammation subsided and the pupils became white and clear. Though the eyes were very delicate, the biba caused no smarting, but they removed the disease of the eyes. Many such cases were cured, and this is only an instance in point. Baba's yoga practices. Baba knew all the processes and practices of yoga. Two of them will be described here. Cleaning process. Baba went to the well near a banyan tree at the considerable distance from the masjid every third day and washed his mouth and had a bath. On one occasion, he was seen to vomit out his intestines and clean them inside and outside and placed on a jump tree for drying. There are persons in Shirdi who have actually seen this and who have testified to this fact. Ordinary dhauti is done by a moistened piece of linen 3 inches broad and 22 feet long. This piece is gulped down the throat and allowed to remain in the stomach for about half an hour for being reacted there and then taken out. But Baba's dhauti was quite unique and extraordinary. Then the second one is Kanda Yoga. In this practice, Baba extracted the various limbs from his body and left them separately at the different places in the masjid. Once a gentleman went to the masjid and saw the limbs of Baba lying separately at separate places. He was much terrified and he thought of running to the village officers and informing them of Baba's being hacked to pieces and murdered. He thought that he would be held responsible as he was the first informant and knew something of the affair. So he kept silent. But the next day, when he went to masjid, he was very much surprised to see Baba hale and hearty and sound as before. He thought that this previously he had a dream. Baba practiced yoga since his infancy and nobody knew or guessed the proficiency he attained. He charged no fees for his cures and became renowned and famous by the virtue of his merits. Gave healthy to many poor and suffering persons. This famous doctor of doctors cared not for his interest but always worked for the good and welfare of the others, himself being suffering unbearable and terrible pain many a time in the process. One such instance I give below, which will show all the pervasive and most merciful characters of Baba. In the year 1910 AD, Baba was sitting near the Duni on Diwali holiday and warming himself. He was pushing firewood into the Duni, which was brightly burning. A little later, instead of pushing logs of woods, Baba pushed his arm into the Duni. The arm was scorched and burnt immediately. This was noticed by the servant Madhava and also by Madhav Rao Deshpande. They at once ran to Baba and Madhav Rao put Baba by his waist and began and dragged him forcibly backward and asked, Deva, for what have you done this? Then Baba came to his senses and replied, the wife of the blacksmith at some distant place was working the bellows of a furnace. Her husband called her. Forgetting that her child was on her waist, she ran hastily and the child slipped into the furnace. I immediately thrust my hand into the furnace and saved the child. I do not mind my arm being burnt, but I am glad that the life of the child is saved. Leper devotees service. On hearing the news of Baba's hand being burnt from Madhav Rao Deshpande, Mr. Nana Sahib Chandakar, accompanied by the famous Dr. Paramanand of Bombay with his medical outfit consisting of ointments, lint, bandage, rushed to Shirdi and requested to allow Dr. Paramanand to examine the arm. His treatment consisted in massaging the burn part with the ghee and then placing a leaf over it and bandaging it tightly with the bandages. This was done by the leper devotee Bagoji Shinde every day. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar solicited Baba many a time to unfasten the bandages and get the wound examined and dressed and treated by Dr. Paramanand with the object that it may be speedily healed. Dr. Paramanand himself made similar requests, but Baba postponed, saying that Allah was his doctor and he did not allow his arm to be examined. Dr. Paramanand's medicines were not exposed to their air of Shirdi as they remained intact, but he had good fortune of getting a darshan of Baba. Bagaji was allowed to treat the hand daily. After some days, the arm healed and all were happy. Still, we do not know whether any trace of pain was left or not. Every morning, Bagaji went throughout his program of loosening the bandages, massaging his arm with ghee and tightly bandaging it again. This went on till Sai Baba's Samadhi. Sai Baba was a perfect Siddha and he did not really want this type of treatment, but out of love to his devotee, he allowed the service of Bagoji to go on uninterrupted all along. When Baba started for Lendi, Bagoji held an umbrella over him and accompanied him. Every morning when Baba sat near the post close to the Duni, Bagoji was present and started the service. Bagoji was a sinner in his past birth. He was suffering from leprosy. His fingers had shrunk, his body was full of pus and smelling badly. Though outwardly he seemed so unfortunate, he was really very lucky and happy, for he was a premier servant of Baba and got the benefit of his company. I shall now relate another instance of Baba's wonderful Leela. Mrs. Kapparde, the wife of Mr. Dada Saheb Kapparde, was staying at Shirdi with her younger son for some days. One day the son got high fever which developed into a bubonic plague. The mother was frightened and felt most uneasy. She thought of leaving Shirdi to her place and went near Baba in the evening when he was coming from the Wada for his evening rounds and asked his permission. She informed him that a trembling tone that her dear young son was down with the plague. Baba spoke kindly and softly to her, saying that the sky is beset with clouds, but they will melt and pass off, and everything will be smooth and clear. So saying, he lifted up his kafni up to the waist and showed that all present the four fully developed buboes as high as eggs and added, "See how I have to suffer for my devotees. Their difficulties are mine." Seeing this unique and extraordinary deed, the people were convinced as to how the saints suffer pains for their devotees. The mind of the saint is softer than wax, it is soft in and out as butter. They love their devotees without any idea of gain and regard them as their true relatives. I shall now close this chapter after relating a story illustrating how Sai Baba loved his devotees and anticipated their wishes and movements. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandarkar, who was a great devotee of Baba, was a Mamaldar at Nandarpur, Khandesh. He got an order of transfer to Parantpur. His devotion to Sai Baba bore fruit as he got an order to go and stay at Parantpur, which is regarded as the Bhu Vaigunda, that is heaven on earth. Nana Sahib had to take immediate charge, so he left immediately for the place without even writing or informing anybody at Shirdi. He wanted to give a surprise visit to Shirdi, his Parantpur, see and salute his Vithoba, that is Baba, and then proceed. Nobody dreamed of Nana Sahib's departure for Shirdi, but Sai Baba knew all about this as his eyes were everywhere. As soon as Nana Sahib approached Nemagal, a few miles from Shirdi, there was stir in masjid at Shirdi. Baba was sitting and talking with the Mahasalpadi and also Baba, Appa Shinde and Kashiram when he at once said, "Let us all four do some bhajan. The doors of the Pandari are open. Let us merrily sing." Then they begin to sing in chorus, the burden of the song being, "I have to go to Parantpur and I have to stay on there, for it is the house of my Lord." Baba sang and the devotees followed him. In a short time, Nana Sahib came there with his family, prostrated before Baba, and requested him to accompany them to Parantpur and stay with them there. This solicitation was not necessary, as the devotees told Nana Sahib that Baba was already in the mood of going to Parantpur and staying there. Hearing this, Nana Sahib was moved and fell at Baba's feet. Then, getting Baba's permission and sacred ashes and blessings, Nana Sahib left for Parantpur. There is no end to Baba's stories, but let me now make a halt here, reserving for next chapter the other topics such as importance of human life, Baba's living on alms.